So I thought that I made another video since I've been here, but apparently I either didn't finish it or I didn't upload it. I'm currently at a friend's house. This is a nice little view. So I'm at a close friend's house with his family. Been here a couple days. I, haven't seen them for a while and trying to help out a little bit while just trying to also rest up a bit, get myself prepared to go back out. My next plan is to go to Kenosha from here. I'm in Racine. Um, it'll probably take me. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this evening or not. I was kind of planning on leaving tonight, but I might end up leaving tomorrow and then just walking most of the day and kind of getting into Kenosha in the evening time. Because I'm assuming it'll take, well, a day, I guess. It'll probably take a minute because I don't know. I mean, according when I was in East Troy and walking to Whitewater, I think it only took, I got picked up, but I think it was projected to be like 6 hours. So might be a bit of a trek to even get down to Kenosha. And even that, I'm kind of, I might end up I would like to. There's a couple friends I haven't seen in years, and before I go out on this, I would like to see them. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. It's kind of like not tying up loose ends by any means. I kind of already did that. That's what I'd been doing since I got back to the Midwest. But I'm more just I want to see my friends and let people know what I'm doing. That's something that I've never done. So every Okay, so this is one of the reasons that I'm finding myself, like, I'm finding this opportunity to put me in a state of vulnerability more than any other one has, is because I've generally, even when I've been out in my car, when I've been with my dogs, like, I have not uh, really let people know what I'm doing at all. So a lot of the people that love and care for me, that have continued to support me all of this time, have done so without any knowledge of where I'm at any given time, have hardly any clue of what's going on in my life at any point in time, and who I also haven't even remained in contact with consistently over the course of months and years. I am so incredibly blessed to have met people in my life and to know people who genuinely support me in that way, because they don't have an expectation of, who I'm supposed to be for them or what I'm supposed to do for them. They accept that I'm not always up to what everybody else is, and that I don't live the way most people do, and they appreciate that about me, and that's something I've always appreciated about them. It's rare to find those types of people, but I've definitely been blessed to find those types of people, and people that are understanding. My in and outness isn't a personal thing. I'm very much responsible for my own experience, and I would not put that on someone else. And the one, and this is something that I'm still working on because of my past issues with codependency, but also just in general, I do believe that it's best to not hold commitments with others, to hold commitments to oneself, and to hold oneself as the highest accountability for oneself, to not rely on others for personal need. It's so easy, and people, they feel like they need family, and they feel like they need friends, and they feel like they need partners, and they feel like they need, people that understand them and that support them and that believe in them and that agree with them and that do the same types of things that they do. Um, I mean, those things are all great. And there's been plenty of times in my life where I've experienced those things and it's felt, um, well, there's plenty of times that those things have actually been to my benefit. But the thing is that it's about energy transference and it's the way that you go about it. Um, the times that the codependency, there are times that I've uh, looked at those things with a sense of this thing is validating me, giving me a sense of self. That's always what's been misleading more than anything. It's very easy to make unhealthy attachments based on seemingly positive intent, um, but that doesn't uh, take away the consequence of unhealthy attachments. So it's important that we keep ourselves accountable to these things. I love the neighbor's dog. He's so cute. Um, in comparison, but um, I don't think it's common that people hold themselves accountable in those ways. I think generally that's actually the issue with codependency, is that people tend to rely on an external validation system, whether that be friends, family, partners, career, status, whatever. Um, and they lose themselves in those things. It's such a fine line. And the energy transference, the core of it is about appreciation, in my opinion. Um, if you are looking at something with a sense of expectancy or a sense of validation or a sense that it's going to complete you in some fashion, that it's going to help you feel fulfillment, that it's going to, just be the thing that helps complete you in any sense, you are denying your wholeness of self within of yourself. And that is like the cardinal sin, in my opinion. Um, that's it. That's the cardinal sin, in my opinion. I don't even think that suicide is a problem for everyone. I think there's some people that it's justified for, to be honest. I think that going against yourself and denying yourself and compromising yourself for the sake of, unless it's for the sake of your higher self, it's not going to ultimately end up being for your highest good. So I would imagine that to me, if it's not something for your highest good, then it is something that is essentially leading to your detriment or to your suppression or to your lack mentality in any way, or, I just, okay, so when I really break things down, the way that I look at it is that, like, it's all chemical, essentially. We can't measure energy. We can measure it through experience alone. But we can't definitively measure it. Like the two-slit experiment in physics or quantum mechanics denotes that exact concept. And what that looks like in reality is that everything that we do is an energy transference. It's all chemistry. And according to the chemistry that we live by and that we die by, we are also broken down by. And the way that we are broken down is how we continue on. And right, the way that we're broken down is how we continue on. I believe that our day-to-day actions, including our thoughts, are actively interacting with, changing, evolving, and solidifying our DNA and our chemistry. And here, I'm going to pause this and get back to it. My friend just got back with the kids. Okay, so I don't know exactly where I left off. As I stopped for a second, I realized that maybe what I should be doing when I'm trying to convey these deeper concepts, and so that I'm not doing the ADHD thing of just jumping around a whole bunch in a way that's not totally easy to understand, that I should write that stuff down and save those conversations for when I have stuff written down. and the ad-libbing just, as I go along can maybe come from when I'm discussing where I'm at, what I'm actively doing, and how I'm actively feeling. So as I started to get into that, I decided to take that break. My friend got here with her kids. We were just hanging out with the kids. Now they're having lunch. So I took some time to write this down, figured I would read this, and then maybe expound on it that way, I suppose. However, I want to set the camera up in a way that's nice. I'm so bad at camera angles. I'm not when it comes to taking pictures. I'm really good at taking pictures of myself. Not so much at videos. Not so much of the videos. Also because people these days, like, they're not going to take, I'm not wearing any makeup. I look like I haven't slept in any amount of my time. I'm not, like, wearing anything fancy. I don't have, like, the best backgrounds or anything. I mean, this is a wonderful, beautiful setup, but then we got this going on. So I'm aware that my production quality is lacking to begin with. C'est la vie. Okay. Well, I suppose that'll work. Sorry. It's over my body. No, I shouldn't apologize for my body. Okay. This is what I'm working with. This is what I'm bringing to the table. I can work on it instead of apologizing on it. That would be an idea. Getting there. Okay. So what I was just talking about as this video was going, I kind of, I started writing, but it's not necessarily going to coincide perfectly, I imagine. So bear with me as I just express these concepts. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. My body is grossing me the fuck out. Okay. Well, and because I'm wearing a sports bra, so my breasts are all smashed and my body's all lumpy. Okay. We're just gonna do this. Okay, so you are both built up and broken down by the chemistry you live by. You are created of every chemical interaction that has ever happened in the exact way it did to lead to your conception. You are a concept the universe uses to experience itself. Your experience is a collective of chemical interactions. The chemistry you contain when born is the basis for these interactions, but also evolves and devolves according to those interactions. The chemistry you leave behind when you die is your legacy. The chemistry you're capable of in your life is your destiny. The complete depletion of chemical interaction is carbon and is returned to the universe void. Eventually, all may become carbon, but so long as we stimulate chemical interaction, it can't happen. Knowing ourselves well enough to not only recognize but willfully control our chemical interactions is our power as the universe conceiving itself. In all our glory and purity, we are perfect, but in our pursuits of self-doubt, we found defeat, which established a perpetuating system of devolving into carbon. It's in our momentary day-to-day interactions that the system is itself supported and defeated. It's within our own capacity and willingness to claim the power we ourselves are, It's within our own capacity and willingness to claim this power we ourselves are both either supported or defeated by. So that's what I was getting at too, was that it's within, there's a way to religiously denote responsibility for the human existence or for our existential experience that is religiously connotated in a way that is self-defiant. That it's so easy to conceive of certain theology or reality without without like synthesizing it with anything else, you know. And I think that that's kind of what we do when we view things religiously and view our responsibility to life through a religious lens. I don't think it needs to be that way, and I think it can end up being quite distracting from the reality that is simple and amazing just as it is, which is that because we are but chemical reactions, because all that we are in experience is chemical interactions, we are atomically bound to this existence, and that in of itself is the unification of all life. It speaks for itself. It doesn't need us to support it. It doesn't need us to continue it on. It will find ways to do it itself. Life does that. But I do believe that it's a gift to those that have sentience to be able to recognize their control and power, and to be able to become in alignment with those things. I don't believe that any sense of control that I ever have is coming from within myself and then projected outward. I believe that any time that I find myself capable of actually being in control of anything, it is an active acceptance of self and release of the sense of control in order to come into proper alignment with where my power actually is. I don't think that within our own capacity to manipulate our chemical reactions, that we have any power outside of that. Like, I think that it just is what it is. I don't think that, like, I think that there is a power in the universe beyond our physical capacity, mentality, or reactivity. I think that there's an energy transference we are constantly experiencing and connecting with, and that's connecting all of us, you know, plants and animals as well, that everything is beyond us. I think we're just part of the experience, and that our sentience is a personal gift more than anything. I don't think that it's moving the hand of the universe. And I think that even the ways that we aren't aware of ourselves, and that we end up destroying things. And like I said, like, if you aren't actively taking control of your chemical interactions, you're still susceptible to, I mean, not even just susceptible, you're still driven by them, or, you know, dealing with the consequences of them. And that it's, it's not about, when you're in proper alignment, it does make everything else in proper alignment. But like, even with all the damage that we do, I do believe that life itself still survives. It just is constantly changing and evolving. And I think that that's all beautiful and great and good. I don't think there's anything innately evil about it, but I also think that there's a power that we have to recognize these things, because there is a capacity for these things to not just be in proper alignment, but also to then progress into something even greater. And the way that looks to me, or the way that I would break that down, would be that my physical form serves so many purposes while I'm in it, and even those that, like, I can affect outside of it, or like those that I've affected in the way that they continue to affect things and everything like that, like, there's still so much of it that's very much directly tied to my active control of my chemical interactions and experiences. But there's also a point where, even after I've broken down, my existence is still serving a grander purpose. The experiences that I've had have influenced things in such a way that my existence renders things to never be the same. And because of that, if you were to have a petri dish and you are adding certain, like sugars or certain carbs or certain proteins into it in order to induce the culmination of a specific type of fungal colony in that way, or bacteria colony. You can learn all of those, research all those things, and then direct how it's a understanding those things to begin with that you're even able to manipulate it. And then in the act of manipulations, you also learn the consequences of those things, and then you're able to kind of fine tune how you're working with it. But you can actually, take something that would form naturally in one direction and change it to form into something that is more beneficial. That is the process of medicine. That's the power, that's the magic of medicine, was that alchemy that, what's it called? What's the medicine that comes out of that mold? I cannot think of either. What is even the kind of mold? Why can't I think of it? You know what I'm talking about. The super potent medicine that we got out of a kind of mold. That is what my evidence is for progress. It's all very personal. The mold in of itself, existing just as it is not evil, but being able to, it's not like you want mold on your food or that you want mold in your body, in those, as we are. So like being able to take those things and to manipulate the chemical interactions to our benefit is a wonderful thing. It's an incredible gift that we can give ourselves through the knowing of ourselves and the processing of ourselves and the active, intentional interactions that we offer to, the reality around us. And I grew up very religious, and then as I moved away from religious thinking, I moved into scientific processing, and the religion that I was raised with compromised the science, and the science compromised the religion I was raised with. But my own personal faith has only been pushed into proper alignment through that process. So neither were in opposition to my truth. My truth encompasses all things in that way. And then my active capacity to receive, not just to receive that truth, but also then to, choose for myself what it is that I'm adding to it and the consequences thereof. If I know what the consequences can be, I can actively, affect the future purposefully. There is no guarantee of all things, and I'm not in such perfect alignment with myself that I can know myself so well that I can guarantee every interaction that I have. But I do believe that is how it works. I believe that if you were to give yourself adequate time and energy to know yourself, and do I think that you could actually know yourself? No, I think that the way that the illusion of time and space work make it impossible to converge those things in the third dimension. So I don't think it'll ever look like what people think it'll look like, but I think that if you are in proper alignment with the fifth dimension, which is like the tangibility of non-definitiveness, that then you are able to you might not be able to express it, explain it, or even conceive it fully, but there's still an awareness, receiving, alignment, understanding, and balance in the knowing it. The more that you know yourself, being truly connected to things. I mean, it's the power of I know it's silly, but I can literally talk to trees, or I will talk to trees and talk to plants and talk to animals and receive genuine education, information, self-reflection, and external connection through those things. And I honestly it's easier to talk to a tree often more than it is to talk to people, depending on the person, because so many people are in direct defiance of their highest selves, and that highest self is what is connected to all things. And it's in that I'm able to actively like communicate and connect with people. So if somebody isn't in alignment with themselves or isn't aware of their highest selves, if they aren't in connection to all of those things, and they're not in connection with me either. So like at that point, I'm having to put in the work and work through something in order to understand them, because they're not able to convey those things to me. The more in alignment with myself I am, the less of a process or work that is, because in the knowing of yourself, you effectually know all things. And you do. Because you're connected to all things, and because in the same way that like the concept of singularity works, I can show you on a blank piece of paper essentially. Well, this isn't blank, but okay, on a blank piece of paper, there's nothing. You can assume that this is a blank space, although it isn't. It is in of itself something. Being nothing, it is in of itself something. But the second that I draw a dot, I've now, in the concept of nothing, created something. However, the moment that I did that, by defining this as something, I have also defined all of this as the nothing, which defines this as being something. So there's always a duality happening at all points in time. As soon as anything becomes at all experienced, as soon as something becomes tangible at all, there is a duality, and that's because we live in a three-dimensional existence. So this isn't the singularity. This all is the singularity. The fact that these two can be defined as part of one thing and one concept, even though they are two separate things, definitively, is that it is the unification of all things. It is the singularity. And that isn't just true for quantum mechanics. Well, it is. I mean, that's what it is. That's what we are working with, our ability to process an internal experience whilst experiencing an external reality is singularity. And the more that we come into alignment with ourselves, the more access to that singularity we have, which means the more connected we inevitably are to all things. It's the singularity. All things are one. So the more connected you are to that, the more connected you are to all things. And I take those things personally. I do take personal accountability for these things. I do believe that, like, I do and I don't. I'm, like I said, I'm not on top of all of my things. I enjoy Red Bull. I enjoy certain chemicals, even like coffee, like the caffeine, like I definitely overdo it. I don't think that anything is innately evil, but I do think it's the way that we go about things. I can't think of, Red Bull served me well, but it also, I think, like many chemical interactions that we can experience, is more destructive than it is positive in any sense. But again, it is about energy transference. So I think that everything kills us. Breathing the air kills us. I think there comes a point in time where it is on us to make the definitive decision as to which compromises we're making in order to make things the most sustainable. But I think that it's a constant process. And I think that even despite the mistakes we may make with our external experiences, it is still within our internal experience and the singularity of the two that our power lies. So, I don't think that just because somebody's like only ever eaten McDonald's and, chosen to be, homeless while they're on a whole bunch of heroin, which, like, none of those things I can judge, because not that I've ever done heroin, but I can't judge any of those things because there's definitely points where I've essentially reflected those same types of ideals. But even if you're somebody who like has never put any energy into coming into alignment, into bettering yourself, into bettering the world around you, even if everything, has just been complete suffering for you in that way, and you've just continued to add to it, there's still always a point within your active existence that you can claim the power over that and come into alignment. It's just within your willingness to, always. And when we have come so far away from knowing ourselves, it's very hard to just will ourselves into anything because we're not aware of that power. It's easy for me to change my mind and to change my lifestyle and to change essentially anything. It's not always easy, but it's as easy as my willingness to recognize myself and to come into alignment is. When I find that I'm in suffering, I allow myself to become aware of my control over that. That's like my go-to. That's my power. The second that I realize that I feel powerless, I actively focus on where my power lies and hone in on that, and then find myself coming back into alignment where that thing no longer has power over me. It's not that there aren't tons of periods of times where things are weighing on me and I, am experiencing them deeply emotionally and being affected by them even negatively. But at the end of the day, it's always on me how I receive those things and what I do with those things. And it's within the power that I have to know the form that I'm within that allows this siphon of energy, which is just my physical form, to siphon things properly, and all of that it's all still just a personal thing. It all comes down to like how I know that I'm affecting things. It's not even personal though. Like, I don't care about my personal feelings. I care about the fact that like, as a spirit, I'm not going to be satisfied if I waste this opportunity as this experience, and that's also what drives me so often, towards, I want to be this and be this and be this. And then I realize that I have those capacities for all things. And I also try to keep myself like right now, like, I don't like not wearing makeup. I don't think I look good right now. Right now I'm going through a process of not having to feel like I look good to feel valid or to feel valuable or to feel like what I have to offer is important. I'm doing that in such a way that I have given up everything. I didn't sell my things. I left it open to be sold, but I left everything in order to be able to prove myself to myself and to my experience, that I don't need to validate myself through the external, that I am already completely validated through the internal, and that it's the expression of that becomes the external experience and manifestation. So many of us aren't aware of that, but we are actively manifesting, and because we're not aware of it, what we're actively manifesting is essentially just an experience we don't want to have, an existence we don't wish is to be our own. But that's all within our capacity to make acceptances for those things and allowances for those things, and to not take our power to live the lives that we truly want to live. It's very easy to make excuses that, well, this is what makes me happy and this is what makes me comfortable for a time, not understanding that the sacrifice of those things will lead you into activities and thought processes and relationships and communion with things that are truly in alignment with you, and that being in true alignment with your highest self is where your happiness and sense of self and confidence and power lies. Giving your power away to drugs or alcohol or sex or media or money in any type of status in any type of those ways. I've never met a single person that's truly happy doing those things. They think that they are, but they're not. And they will admit that if they're talking to the right person, if they come to the right understanding of self. But they're also too afraid to give all of that coping up and those habits up in order to embrace the uncertainty of self. It's all those actions are being driven by a lack of awareness of self, and to acknowledge that, and then to embrace that you don't know yourself and that you don't know what you're capable of or what you want or who you really are, and then to move in the direction of what truly fulfills you and is in alignment with you, according to what it is that also balances. Like, I'm constantly balancing my external with my internal, in the way that, like, if I'm in a place where I feel super conflicted internally, I am not in alignment. I'm aware I'm not in alignment. And if no amount of what I can do for myself internally or externally allows a space to feel comfortable or safe within that or in proper alignment, those aren't the right spaces for me. And those I will leave. I do it all the time. And I do it in love. I don't do it in fear. I try not to, do it in anger or bitterness. I struggle with all of those emotions. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what I am doing is trying to, as long as I'm in alignment with myself, I know that I'm in alignment. Everybody else, that everything else is in at least a little more alignment, for as much as I can affect it, at least. And I don't want to stay in places, even if they seem like there's no reason that it should feel that way, where I'm not in proper alignment. Even if there's so many positive things to be taken, I am thankful for those things. I try to focus on those things. Those are the things I try to take with me. I don't try to carry the negativity, but I also don't try to stay places where I'm not in alignment. And that's part of, I'm not perfectly fit right now. There are things I can do that move towards fitness, and that doesn't mean that just by doing them I'm suddenly in perfect fitness. It's just moving in that right direction, and it's those types of habits that will help me continue to see more fitness, rather than the habits of like eating certain things or not doing certain things that allow me to continue to validate that I'm not perfectly fit. It's that simple, but it also is that complex because we just simply don't know ourselves that well. And because we almost, as a society, tend to expect, we do, and we have historically for a long time expected someone or something else to validate those things for us without holding ourselves personally and self accountable. But like I said, even with the double slit experiment, if you aren't the one actively engaging with it, there's no proof of measurement outside of that. So your experience is definitive of your reality, period. And you are in control of your experience. You're in control of your reactions. Maybe not, but like, that is our power. It's to become aware of those things in order to be able to put those things in alignment. When you're in control, it's not an active forcing. It's an active receiving, releasing, accepting, and moving in alignment. It's not any time that I've had any power over anything. It's not been me. It's been my ability to trust my experience and my reality and who I am within it. And that is something that is beyond my third dimensional experience. That is something beyond my person. That is something that is truly divine and in all life. And it is that connection that I think we all need to come to, so that we can all, and however it's done, for so many people, it looks so many different ways. I don't want to give necessarily definitive ways to go about that, because I don't want to be misleading. I want people to do whatever it is that it requires for them to know themselves. In my experience, I've had to go through a lot of bullshit, to be honest, in order to come to a sense of self. I've had to sacrifice a lot of things that, like, I don't think, I wish that it wasn't that way, but at the same time, like, in retrospect, that's the way that it was. And I don't believe that those things were evil. I'm just thankful for those experiences. And I have a concept and a hope that all of that will turn out for good, even when it doesn't necessarily seem that way in my personal experience, as long as what I'm doing is just remaining in alignment. So yeah, everything I do is driven by that. And that's also why I defend myself against certain types of things that are in direct defiance against that. But I also don't want to be in constant defense either. I would love to be able to soften myself continuously and not have to be such a fortress. Or to be able to be a fortress without having to be in defiance of anything. I want to be in perfect alignment, if at all possible. You know, that's my end goal. So this is what it's looking like for me right now. This is part of my process, all of this, and that's where it's coming from. We'll see what the fuck I have to talk about in the next video.